Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing well. It is a rather cloudy, gloomy autumnal day today. Thus I've had to turn the lights on because even though it is 9:25 in the morning, it's so dark you couldn't really see me on my camera without the lights on. So there we go, we're reaching that time of year. It's been a couple of weeks since you last saw me. I had only planned to be reading for a week, so I should have done this review last week, but unfortunately I came down with a problem with my ear, and I haven't had an ear infection in so many years. I had a real problem with it and got distracted with other stuff, and work has been incredibly frantic still over the past couple of weeks. I was just like, oh, for goodness sake, I'm not going to be able to read this book in a week, so I had to spread it out over 2 weeks. So yeah, that's why I've been away. But also while I've been away, I've been making plans for Advent. Obviously now we are in November. I cannot believe I'm saying that. I've been thinking about what I'm going to do for Advent this year, and I've developed a plan which my mum is involved with as well. And yeah, I bet I will be revealing more about that later on this month, so look out for a video about that. But anyway, I'm here to talk about the book I've been reading over the past couple of weeks, which is The Gambling Man by Catherine Cookson. Now, when I got this, it wasn't until I started reading it that I realized this because it is in pristine, apart from coloring, because aging of paper, this is a pristine copy of this book. First published, let me just check, this edition 1981. It was first published in 75. This is from 81, and I don't think anyone has read this because it's in such good condition, so I was quite pleased with that. So yeah, that was an unexpected surprise. So what is The Gambling Man about? Okay, it is about a guy called Rory Connor, who is a rent collector. I was just about to say debt collector, and I'm like, no, well, technically you could say kind of debt collector because people get behind on their rent and such, but he's a rent collector in Teesside, and he is from a very working class background and such, and he strives to be what he can be. He's drawn to riches and such. Like, he's had to fight his way through being born poor and looked down on and such, and so he is a rent collector, and he likes to drink and he likes to gamble, and it's about him and his life and his family and the people around him and such. Now, this, knowing about Catherine Cookson's life, it's semi-autobiographical. This very much is relating to her father, who was a gambling alcoholic. It's Catherine's background is there's a lot of stuff going on in there, and I'll be talking about that more with my next read, which I've already announced, but I will talk about that again at the end of this review, where there was a lot going on. There was a lot of alcoholism, there was gambling and such, so I can completely understand why she was drawn to that as her source of interest for this book. And thinking about it, in the 1970s, I may be wrong here, I can't think specifically of her timeline of events and such in her life, but I think that was around the time that she lost her mum, and of course, reflecting on past and such, and as mentioned previously, like I did with like the Malin streak and such, how that trilogy of books, she's very much talking about breaking the chains of multiple generation addictions and abuse. So you're breaking the cycle, becoming your own person. Whereas for the Gambling Man, Rory is very much stuck in that cycle. Now, I have sort of I sort of have a love-hate relationship with this story. I kind of felt the same way when I watched the drama, which was when, I bought the drama box set for my birthday a couple of years ago and fell down that rabbit hole, and then that led me down Catherine Cookson's books and to where we are now. And the reason why is because I get why she did it, but at the same time I'm really conflicted by characterization in this story. The key one, I'm not going to reveal who because of spoilers and such, but the key thing is that there is a character who appears out of the blue in the course of this book. If you've read this book, or if you're going to read this book, once you've read it, you'll know who I'm talking about, who we are introduced at the beginning of the book, and they are one way, and then they make this appearance, and it's like night and day, like characterization, attitude, behavior, everything. It's like just too complete. And I can understand why, because of life events and such, but at the same time I'm a bit like, how did that happen? That's the thing. Catherine is usually really, really great at explaining why characters do the things they do, why they say the things they say, etc., in all of her books. But especially with like this one, because we've got this one character who's there, gone, and then suddenly wham, they're there, and they're completely different. It's really jarring for her to do that and have like no explanation as to why. It kind of felt it almost felt like they were a caricature of someone who had gone through a similar situation, if you see what I mean. Like with all of her characters, she's very much, the strong female characters who fight for what they are determined to have. In this case, it's a male character as the lead, but that determination, that I'm going to do what I need to do. And you learn the path of their journey in order to understand the people that they go on to be, and the thoughts and the feelings and even political views, etc., of how they process things. So in this one, it feels very jarring that we don't have that. But I do wonder if it is that thing of, especially with Catherine's mother in real life, just to clarify what I mean, that especially when it comes with like alcoholism and such, you become an addiction in general. You become a completely different person. Like you could be someone who, when you're not drinking or whatever the addiction is, be salt of the earth, lovely, lovely person, care for everyone. And then when you're in that dark place, you are a completely different, like the nastiest person in the world, who doesn't give a crap about anyone, that kind of thing. So I feel like that is what she was playing with in this, but the way that she approached it, especially with that one character, it just felt odd to me. It just felt a bit weird. Now, when it comes to the tone of this book, my God, this is a bleak book. Now, she has done bleakness in other books that I've read and reviewed. I mean, look at the Malin Streak series, trilogy. Jesus Christ, I said, compared to like a Dinner of Herbs is almost like Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice dark, and the Malin trilogy is like Wuthering Heights, Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. This is like Charles Dickens's Hard Times. This is something that no matter where you are, the system is going to beat you down. No matter what you try to do, you will never climb. You will never be able to get out of your situation unless you basically die. And we see that in Hard Times with character, what's his name? Stephen Blackpool, that he has this certain situation. He's like, and he goes to his bosses, and he's like, so I'm condemned if I do this, I'm condemned if I do that, but I can't do one or the other. I cannot physically do it. Please help me. And the system shuts him out and goes, whatever. That's your problem, mate, not our problem. So, and Stephen ends up dying very sadly. Sorry for that spoiler, but it's the mechanism of showing the lower ranks and such, and how you're beaten down. And throughout all of Catherine's books that I've read so far, and that I've watched dramas of, because there are some where I've watched the drama only, and the book is upstairs in my study. It's the protagonist wins, that usually, or they have at least some kind of clear air, settled, I'm good, you know. And in the case of the gambling man, like Charles Dickens' Hard Times, characters win, but they don't win at the same time. There's always the darkness, the weight, you know, the smog of industrialization and such, which always is there. They have just shifted their perspective. They have shifted their situation, maybe ever so slightly. I mean, like, say, for example, again, looking at Hard Times, look at Louisa. She goes through all that she does. And yes, she is free, but she's not. She's still trapped. She's still there. She still has to deal with all of the stuff that happened with her brother and her father. It's yeah. There is something about a story where everyone is fighting to get out the darkness, and the darkness only lightens slightly, but it still sits there. It's still wedged in. And that is kind of like what this story is. Rory has some, let's face it, shit to deal with, that he has to go through, and the choice that he makes at the end makes him a hero of the story. But at the same time, it's the gamble, as you know, it's the gambling man. He's a gambling addict. He loves alcohol. He's, you know, and he's very lucky with the cards, but there's only so many times that he can be lucky. Luck runs out. And yeah, it's really interesting that he has absolutely no fear whatsoever, because he has always grown up in an environment where at any moment somebody could die. They could lose everything. Even they hardly have anything, they could still lose everything. They could be kicked out. They could go hungry. And then he grows up to be the person who's knocking on the door going, where's your money? What, you know, you owe us. Where is it? I find that really interesting, that his climbing through the ranks is, even though it's getting rich in a way, it's getting rich by taking a risk. He's not afraid whatsoever. And his higher rank is becoming the person, the rent collector, the debt collector that he feared as a child. I find that very, very interesting. So there is going up in rank, but it's not necessarily going up in society, if you see what I mean. It's shifting. It's shifting the point A to point AB, not as A1 or something, you know. Instead of going A to B, we're going A to A1. It's just ever so slight shift in society. But yeah, I find it a really interesting story now. But because I watched the drama, obviously, and I thought it was okay. It wasn't too bad. Now that I have read the book, I feel a lot stronger about the drama. I think is a yeah, because I understand that world better. It did portray the book very well. It followed the book, and I say that because some of the dramas don't. Look at my reaction to when I talk about the drama of the Malin trilogy, and then you'll know what I mean. It portrayed the book well. Some bits I'm a little okay. I get why the director decided to convey that in that way, especially with the way that some of the characters express certain points. I'm not going to delve too much into that, but just that thing of, oh, okay, I read that line in a completely different tone in the book myself, but that's, maybe that's just me, I don't know. The drama does its job. It does it well, and it does the bleakness and the darkness. A lot of it is shot almost like it could be like candlelight, almost. It's just like because of the around the table playing cards. Very insular, as it were. But yeah, but it feels like there's something lacking, and I can't put my finger on it. It's really odd. I don't know if it's the actors or the way it was directed or what, but it just feels a little bit off for me, and I can't think why. It's really irritating. But overall, the actual story itself of the gambling man, I like that Catherine was in this reflective mode about her father. I liked that she wrote it in a way that I knew the story because I'd watched the drama, but it'd been a long time since I'd watched it, so I didn't necessarily remember everything that happened, just to be clear. I liked the fact that the way it was written, you really didn't know where she was going, and then, as I said, to bring back this character who just appears out of the blue, and you're like, fucking hell, what the hell, where did that come from? It was really quite startling, and as I said, they're like a completely different character. It's jarring. I just felt like, usually I'm settled in a Catherine Cookson book, I know what I'm getting myself into, but this one I didn't. And and because of that, I have this sort of love-hate relationship with it. I love the fact that it was so unexpected, but then at the same time, I was a bit baffled by some of the stuff that she brought into the story. I love the fact that as I said, the social development, as it were, through the course of the book is only a tiny step, not a massive step as we've seen in other ones. I like the fact that the brightness of the story is only semi-brightness. It's not a massive night and day brightness. I liked the fact that it was from a man's perspective. Because, as mentioned previously, like when I did the Cinderpath, she does have books where she has male protagonists, but there's not too many. It tends to be female. I liked generally just the bleakness of the story. It kind of fitted me with my sort of morbid curiosity mindset that I have. But then at the same time, there were things that I'm just so used to Catherine doing that I missed things. So I have this like real tussled love-hate relationship with this story. It is a good story. It's well paced. Characters are good, apart from that weird characterization, like I had mentioned. The atmosphere is just brilliant. The ending's pretty good. It's overall, it ticks the boxes, but at the same time, because it's so jarring compared to her other stories, it doesn't tick other boxes that I'm used to ticking for Catherine Cookson. So I'm in this weird place with it. I think maybe I need more time to reflect on it. But overall, it's not a bad book at all. I liked it, but I didn't love it because of certain elements of it. I think that's the best way to put it. I really do. So yeah, it wasn't a bad story. It wasn't like oh gosh, what was it? Is it the rag thief? That Oh, that doesn't sound right. That title, right? I'm gonna have to look that one up. What the book where I had, because I'd seen the drama and I had kind of quite a high expectation for, and it was just okay. Oh no, the rag nymph. That's it. I was close. I was one word out. The rag nymph. I've just remembered it. So where I'd seen the drama and I'd enjoyed the drama and I had high hopes for the book, but the book felt, it was just okay. But that one was written, I think, only a few years before she died. And she'd well over 100 books in by then in her bibliography. So I was like, there's just some books hit more than other books from an author for a reader, and that's perfectly fine. Whereas this one, it did hit. It just hit in a way that I was not expecting, and I think I need some time to reflect on that. So yeah, I don't want people to watch this and think that I am saying that this is a bad book, because it's not a bad book. It's just a bit, oh, where did that come from? Or at least for me. So there we go. As mentioned, there is the drama of this, which, as mentioned, is well put together, catches the tone of the book very well, but there's some questionable things, I think, in the direction of it. It does tell the story well. It doesn't change the ending, which is good, because some of the dramas have, like the Malin trilogy. I was pissed at the director for what they did at the end of that last drama. Oh my god, I was fuming. But yeah, overall, the drama is enjoyable. It does convey the book. It just has some parts where I'm just like, why are you doing that? I'm just bit irked by it. But overall, good. So those are my thoughts on The Gambling Man by Catherine Cookson. So time to ask my usual questions. Would I read this again? Yes, I would. Now that I know what I'm getting myself into, I am prepared for the next read. It's almost like, oh, here's a way to describe it. How jarring it is. It's like comparing the first Harry Potter book to the last one. Like, there's some like the development, the changes, night and day books. It's kind of like that with Catherine Cookson's other books than this one. So now that I'm more prepared for it, I would definitely read it again in the future, knowing that I'm going to find some things in there that are just going to be different from Catherine's other books. Would I recommend this to anyone? Yes, I definitely would. Obviously, Catherine talks a lot about addictions and such in this book. So depending on who I'm recommending it to, I might just want to flag FYI if they've got any kind of sensitivities to that kind of thing. It's not like it needs to have a trigger warning or anything, because there have been other books of hers that I've read that I would flag as trigger because of elements of like rape and stuff like that. But in this case, there aren't any. Just some people. I know there are some people who are highly sensitive to things about addiction and that, and so they might have issue with this book. That's all I'm saying. Would I read any more of Catherine's work? Well, yes, of course, and I've got a load more of her books to read, and I'm very much looking forward to reading them going forward. So those are my thoughts on The Gambling Man by Catherine Cookson. If you read this book, I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comments box below. Your thumbs up, thumbs down, type to yell at your side. And I'll back my thoughts on my next read, which I am going to make sure I'm only going to take a week to read because it's not that big. It's related to Catherine Cookson, but not a Catherine Cookson book. It is To Be a Lady by Cliff Goodwin. He wrote the biography of Catherine Cookson, and when she was alive, she flat out refused anyone to write a biography of her. And when she found out she only had a few months to live, she actually demanded that all of her diaries, her notes, everything be destroyed. She was a very, very private woman because of her background, which she didn't want people to really kind of know about. And yeah, Cliff decided to write a book about her. So actually, when was this published? Just check. 1994. So it was the year after she died. Was it 94? I mean, when did she die? 91 was when she died. So a few years after she died, he published a book about her life. So I'm very intrigued to read what Cliff wrote about her. As far as I know, and I'm going to emphasize that, this is the only biography of Catherine Cookson that there is, as far as I know. There might be others. But yeah, I'm very intrigued. And there she is, the lovely Catherine Cookson. So yeah, I'm quite excited to read this. So I'll be back with my thoughts on To Be a Lady as soon as I'm done, which I'm planning to be next weekend, because I've just been, the past few books, it's been 2 weeks because other stuff's been away, like I've been on holiday, or work's been absolutely crazy, or I've had a blinking ear problem that I've had to deal with. So I'm planning to get back on track and be back with you next weekend. All right then, everyone. Bye.